to learn whatever you can, whatever I can give it to you, whatever each one of us can give to each other. You are like a pencil. जब आप पेंसिल बाजार से खरीदते हैं ना, you cost tremendous pain to the pencil when you sharpen it. Blade से या छुरी से जितनी भी आप करते हैं sharpness से, you sharpen the pencil. What happens? You get the lead out. You write with lead. So these are 3 steps of life. जब स्कूल में जाते थे, I didn't know school, we used to cry. Then you started loving the school. But then came pain, homework. दिल्ली पब्लिक स्कूल वो 24 घंटे में से 18 घंटे तो आपको होमवर्क करना है. So you going through pain, मम्मी मैंने खेलने जाना है, ये करना है, so going through pain. As you grew up further, you became adolescent. Once again, the life cycle turned. You got more pain. पहले ध्यान से वरना भीख मांगेगा क्या? लोहार का काम करा देंगे, तेरे को तनख्वाह बना देंगे, तेरे को ये कर देंगे. हमारे पंजाबी में तो हमारी माँ ऐसे बोलती है, तू तो खराद का काम करेगा लोहे में मशीनों में डाकर. That pain also. Now, finally, when you became graduate or chartered accountant or a lawyer, whatever profession we choose for ourselves, you are still going through pain. That is, once you bought a pencil, that is, you got birth in this world, you are going through pain. You try to sharpen your edges, you sharpen them, you got the lead out, you started writing your story. What story you write today, people will remember you for that story. Not how many houses you had, how much money you had, what kind of pen you had, what kind of car you had. People care a shit about all this. You are not going to give it to people. So therefore, once the lead is out, you still have to work hard. The lead is not enough. You still have to write your story. So once you start using that lead and write your story, this is what matters. So at whatever state of profession you reach, 5 years hence from today, or 10 years hence, you still have to continue to write your story. The story will be read by your children, your friends, and therefore your story must leave the stamp of what you were, what you have done in life. So being a chartered accountant lawyer is not enough. It's just a degree, it's a piece of paper. We stop sharpening the pencil once we get the certificate. CA बन गए, बस छुट्टी. No, that is the beginning of a new edge. You have to still sharpen the pencil and continue to do it. That is what you will leave stamp behind. When I see Abhishek Radharam being a young chartered accountant, he wrote books. It's not easy to write a book. I can't even frame the index of the book. Forget writing it. मैं भी बोलता है क्या कट पेस्ट कॉपी करके रख दिया होगा. But still you have to apply your mind to cut paste copy. You are spending money on this, spending your time. So you continue to sharpen your edges. That is, whatever we interact with each other is not a classroom. First of all, we are interacting with each other. I don't know anything. You also don't know anything. We are learning, sharing the knowledge. Keep continue to sharpen your edges. But if you want to remain a mutual product, कि मैं भी वकील हूँ, मैं भी chartered accountant हूँ, so remain. Who cares? Your wife may care, your children may care. I don't care. Whatever you are, then what? But if you want to be Harish Salvez, or Santanam, or Ganesh, who were chartered accountants and lawyers, they continue to sharpen their edges. If whatever I am today, I'm not a big lawyer, but I think I'm a very successful person. Whatever I've done in my life, I know I've left a stamp behind, bad or good. If I've done very bad, people remember this guy is very bad, ugly. If I've done something good, they'll remember that this guy is good. So if your aim is to only make money, road is to jail. So tax line में पैसे वैसे बनते नहीं. Stop doing रिश्वतखोरी, even if you die hungry. Die without food. Stop compromising your life. And I'm telling you openly, I have never given money to anybody in my life. And I'm not likely to do it ever. That is living life on your terms. Just for being greedy, कि मैंने गाड़ी खरीद लूँगा, आदि खरीद लूँगा, मछली खरीद लूँगा, ये पैसे की जिंदगी छोड़ दो. You are leaving nothing for your children. They will never remember you. जब जेल जाओगे ना, वही जाते हैं लोग, पापा हमने आपको बोला था ये काम करो, जिनके लिए आप कर रहे थे सपोजिटली, कहते हमने आपको बोला था करने के लिए। हम बच्चों को बोलते हैं देखो हमारे लिए हमने सारी जिंदगी खराब कर दी, तो जी हमने बोला था आप करो। That's what life is about. So when you take pain and come here to attend whatever we do here today, you are sharpening your edges. It is not sharpened, don't come, don't waste your time. You have to continue to study. Your professionals have no other assets. हमारे बाप ने कोई मिले नहीं छोड़ी हमारे नाम, और जिन्होंने छोड़ी है वो कर्जे में डूबी हुई हैं। हमने your need we sell hope. Professional sells hope. लॉयर तो कुछ नहीं बेचते सिवाय उम्मीद के। हाँ हम बचा लेंगे जी आप, आपके क्लाइंट को तो बोलिए हम आपको बचा लेंगे। then how do you save the client? This is where you need to sharpen your edges and say yes, my pencil continues to get sharpened. So like a pencil that goes through pain before it starts writing, you also have to write your story with your knowledge. Do not compromise your principles of life ever. Nothing, you will gain nothing. हो सकता है आपके पास 2 कमीडियन हो, मेरे पास 10 हो, बस एक फर्क होने वाला और कुछ नहीं। डॉक्टर स्ट्रेस, रोटी भी खाने को नहीं मिलेगी, डे भी खा। At least from now onward, if you agree with me, stop compromising in your profession at every cost. You go for a job that's better. लेकिन ये जो लिफाफेबाजी की हम प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, this has to stop. Otherwise, your story nobody will remember. Nobody will remember your name. Why the hell we respect Kashif Bhatia? Is he a bigger lawyer than us? No, he's not. But he has shown by his example, he led a pious life. I don't know whether he's young age he had girlfriends or not, we don't know. He must have had. But as far as I know him, for last almost 4 decades, the guy is pious. Politics उनकी अपनी जिंदगी एक अलग है, but in profession as a person, he's a good human being. He was the best, he was far better than Raj Batra in terms of these kind of things. तो अगर आपको ऐसी स्टैम्प अपने आने वाले 10 साल में कोई आपका नाम लेके आपको बोले, तो you have to stop compromising with your life principles. तुम्हारे बच्चे तुम्हारे मुंह पे थूकेंगे भी नहीं कल को. I'm giving you my experience. They care shit about what you done. They will leave you, go to Canada. तुम्हारे पैसे पे आपको छोड़ के चले जाएंगे, पूछने भी नहीं आएंगे आपको कि क्या हुआ हो रहा है ये। तो अपनी जिंदगी जियो यार। ओके, पहले गेट टू द प्रोफेशन। निकालो ये को कल काम में खत्म किया था। So yesterday we were doing, you have, if a person, not any person, a person aggrieved by any order or decision passed by the adjudicating authorities and the proper officer, he has a right to file appeal, and within certain times. That is under section 107 subsection 1, 3 months with a condonation of 1 month. So you have only 3 months limitation by the statute. 2 limitations that run parallel in sections. One is a statutory limitation, it is 3 months. Next 1 month is a discretionary limitation. If you are satisfied with the appellate authority that you be following these appeal in time, you please favor me and condone the delay and hear my appeal on merits. But that is not your statutory right. That's a discretionary right given to the appellate authority. So once you cross 3 months, presume your client is dead. Now you have to make out a case, a very strong case that appeals to the appellate authority. Now how do we draft condonation? This is an exercise today for you. Supposing you got an order of cancelling your registration. Supposing you also lost revocation part. Everything was over. आपने 30 दिन के रिटर्न नहीं भरी तो आपका रजिस्ट्रेशन रिवाइव नहीं हुआ. Now it's final. So now what? You have to go and appeal. So once your order was cancelled and you did not go for revocation, अब revocation को नहीं, now limitation will start from the original date when it was cancelled. The intervening period cannot be excluded. There is no provision for this. So now supposing your RC was cancelled, you did not buy for revocation, that is you did not file the returns or whatever deficiencies were there. So now a person comes, Mr. Verma comes to you, कि मैं, Madam Poonam, please file appeal, I am stuck, my business is finished. हाँ हाँ ये हम कर देंगे. Yes, you have to say we'll file appeal, this is your job. How do you file that appeal? First thing is, you have to see when was that order served on you on the portal. That is date of service, Monday after that. The day it was served upon you, that day you can exclude statutorily and limitation will start running from next day onwards. That is अगर 1/1/22 को आपको ऑर्डर मिला था तो 3 महीने आप 2/1/22 से शुरू करेंगे. It's 3 months, not 90 days. Right? It's 3 months. That is 2/1, 2/2, 2/3, 2/4. On 2nd April your limitation was over. Right? Now since you did not apply for revocation, the 30 days time is not available to you. So आप 2/4 तक आपको appeal file करनी थी. That is the limitation given by statute. There is no 1 month available to you. Don't wait. वो 1 महीना आपको statute नहीं देता. वो 1 महीना आपको appellate authority ने देना है. Good morning. Neetikam, Monday I will host the lunch. You will call for those Nand Bhuturas for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, I will be the one for lunch. We have lunch on Sunday. पैसे कम आए हैं यहाँ पे. Okay. So that 1 month is not given to you by the statute. 1 month discretion has been conferred on the appellate authority to give you additional 1 month of condonation. Right? So 2/4 को आपकी लिमिटेशन खत्म है. अब 30 दिन में आपने जो भी करना है नेक्स्ट 1 month पे करना है. नो 30 days, 1 month. That is up to 2nd May. उसमें जो भी करना है आपको देखिए क्या करना है. If your condonation application does not show sufficient cause, the period is finished. And imagine if RC is cancelled retrospectively, then what happens? Everything is over. Whatever tax and mark is reissued, the bar will have to go to court and find relief because his RC has been cancelled retrospectively, for which the power exists under section 29 with the proper officer. अब वो sufficient cause क्या हो सकता है? Sufficient cause will vary from what kind of organization structure you have. Supposing you have a proprietor, it's easy condonation. You have partnership, it's difficult. You have LLP, more difficult. Company, very difficult. So somebody wants to appear. Nobody appears. So now whatever cause of action you think will be sufficient under section 5 of Limitation Act, you have to draft that. When you draft that cause for condonation of application, condonation delay application, you have to support that cause with a collateral documentary evidence. Supposing I take a ground, you know, I had given my papers for appeal to my lawyer, Ms. Neetika Khanna, and she forgot to file the appeal. This is a good ground. Don't say I gave it to my lawyer. You have to mention which lawyer you gave. Sweeping statement नहीं कि कुछ भी बकवास लिख दो आप. Because what you are seeking is a special indulgence from the appellate authority. He should hear your appeal by condoning delay of 1 month. Now, Neetika Khanna may have to file a certificate if required. Yes, papers were given to me. Because of the following reason, I could not file appeal in time. Now, who's to give reason? The lawyer, not you. That you have shifted the blame to the lawyer or a chartered accountant कि मैंने इनको पेपर टाइम पे इस दिन पेपर दिए थे. वो भी हमारी डेट लिखनी आपको कब दिए थे अपने पेपर. Now supposing you gave paper after 3 months, cause is over. So you have to make sure as a professional the papers should have been given to the concerned professional before 3 month period ending, so that you acted within limitation within statutory limitation period. उसके बाद उस लॉयर ने क्या किया, वो उसकी हेडेक है. Now supposing Nitika Khanna refuses to give affidavit, your appeal is gone. Because you are trying to shift the blame to your lawyer. Right? Now the second reason could be, sir, I was hospitalized. मैं बीमार था, ऐसे ही बीमार था. और मैं घर में दवाई आपका खुद दवाई ले रहा था, वायरल था मेरे. So if you claim you were sick, there has to be a medical certificate by a proper doctor, not RMP, not what जैसे हमारे यहाँ लोग नोटराइज करते हैं हमारे बारे में, वैसे वाले डॉक्टर नहीं चाहिए आपको. You have to give a certificate of doctor that you were sick. Now sickness certificate will work if you are a proprietor. Okay. Now supposing you have a partner, so one partner was sick, what was the other partner doing? What were your employees doing? Who is the authorized signatory? All you have to see before you draft condonation. The court can take a strict view. Okay, we are very liberal in condoning delay. We know Katiji Supreme Court judgment, we know all the judgments, but what is the reason for condonation? You still have to explain each day of delay. Delay can be 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, 2 years. But you still have to explain each day of delay, why was there delay. So in a partnership case, you will have more difficulty. Now supposing you are dealing with a case of a company, so more difficulty. So when you are stuck with this kind of law, where limitation can be, the delay can be condoned only by 1 month, you have to be very careful once you draft your condonation application. Now how do we draft condonation application? We write before the so-and-so appellate authority in the matter of so-and-so, subject, application under section 107 subsection 8 of the GST Act, seeking condonation delay of so many days. मैं यहाँ लोगों को देखता हूँ ट्रिब्यूनल में, उनको पता ही नहीं कि ड्राफ्ट कैसे करते हैं. देख रहे हैं किसी ने कुछ पा के साइन कर दिया, and they face problem with this member tribunal writing. You have to write in the above matter, whichever way of you like, we respectfully submit as an. Number one, that my particular registration was cancelled on portal of this date. You can say I came to know on this date, I opened it, but that will not help you, but you can say so. I came to know of this order on this particular date, right? And I immediately, I had taken immediate steps to file the appeal and gave the papers to my accounts officer or my lawyer or my professional. However, at the end of 3 months, when I asked for the appeal, I came to know the appeal was not filed by the concerned person for the following reasons. Then para 3 has to be, if this order was served upon me on this date, my appeal should have been filed by this date. I have filed it. Therefore, it has a total delayed period of so many days for which I seek condonation. Then you give ground for condonation, whatever ground. Then you have to make a prayer in view of the above fact circumstances supported by an affidavit. Affidavit is a must with condonation before such authorities. Though before High Court, Supreme Court, you can even make a oral prayer, they condone. But they are constitutional courts. They are statutory authorities. Therefore, affidavit should be annexed with the condonation application. In view of the above factual circumstances and in view of the collateral affidavit I am enclosing, I hereby pray that the delay of so many days in filing this appeal may be condoned, and I further respectfully submit that this is within the period of 1 month. Subject to such order that this appellate authority may deem fit and proper, the delay may be condoned, my appeal be heard on merits. This application has to be in the form prescribed, जो भी form prescribed है. चाहे वो जो भी application 4-5 जो भी form है इसका अलग से. If that is not sufficient, you can write condonation petition annexed with the form. Affidavit, कुछ लोग affidavit लिखते हैं कि I have gone through the content of the application drafted by so and so, and I have verified the content as to no, that's not a good affidavit. घात करने वाला काम है. जो आपने एप्लीकेशन में लिखा है उसी को आप एफिडेविट में रिपीट करते हैं टू द ग्राउंड मैच, राइट? इफ यू आर रेफरिंग एनी डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर कंडोनेशन, दैट डॉक्यूमेंट हैज टू बी अनेक्स्ड विद द अपील कंडोनेशन एप्लीकेशन. विदाउट डॉक्यूमेंट यू शुड नॉट फाइल बिकॉज यू विल क्वेश्चन वेयर इज द डॉक्यूमेंट. मैं बीमार था, मेडिकल सर्टिफिकेट नेक्स्ट, वेयर इज मेडिकल सर्टिफिकेट, राइट? सो एंश्योर दैट medical certificates correspond to dates which you mentioned. That is, the medical certificate has to be on a date prior to 3 months period. Only then you will take exemption. If you fell sick after 3 months, even then it's possible. Then if I am the authority, I will not condone delay. It's a discretionary matter. There's no right with you that delay should be condoned. So that is the way you have to approach when you draft condonation application for any kind of appeal in GST matter or any other law. That is facts. Why there is a delay? How much delay is there? Because you know the appellate authority cannot condone delay which is more than 1 month. Even Supreme Court cannot condone that delay. We'll have judgments today on this issue. And therefore, you say. Now the question is 10% deposit is we are tracking yesterday. Right? That is not a part of condonation application. Only if your delay is condoned, your appeal is on record. But since you cannot file the appeal without depositing 10%, therefore condonation also cannot be filed without deposit of 10%. So 10% your deposit, I will say some money goes with interest if you are depositing late. जो भी आपका 15-20 दिन का 100-200-500 रुपए लेंगे उसको डाल दो. It's not required in law, but it's very safe to do it. Right? And when you file the appeal, supposing demand is 10 lakh rupees, it says 5 lakh tax, 3 lakh penalty, 2 lakh interest, 10 lakh rupees. Out of this, supposing there is an issue of reverse charge which you did not deposit. Reverse charge in a admitted tax, you must deposit. You can't say you can dispute reverse charge. So if there are issues like this where you want to reverse ITC, you did not reverse. That 180 days issue, for example, a bogus tax and massive issue, for example, as a professor you have to go through कि 10 लाख की डिमांड में क्या क्या इशू जो इशू जो अपने कंटेस्ट नहीं करने, that tax stands admitted along with interest and penalty. You have to deposit, and then you have to write in your challan and in the appeal petition, out of this 5 lakh tax, interest, penalty, whatever, the following tax amount is admitted, which is being deposited separately. Then whatever is left of tax, you have to deposit 10% of that. Disputed amount of tax. That is अगर 5 लाख में से आपका 1 लाख एडमिट था, वो आपको अलग जमा करना है, और 4 लाख का 40,000 आपको अलग से जमा करना है. No, only tax. अगर लिखा होता है disputed amount, तब सारा था. जहाँ लिखा है disputed amount of tax, so tax is separately quantified. Therefore, you go by tax amount. Right? They can, now supposing there is another issue कि आपसे enforcement वाले कुछ पैसा ले गए जबरदस्ती. Can you adjust that money towards appeal deposit? The answer is yes, as per judgment, but you will have to make an application. Since you cannot file the appeal without 10%, it can be filed. I was told that computer takes it.
No, sir. लेगा ही नहीं.
मुझे कुछ बोल रहा था. मनी के मैदान था मुझे बोल रहे थे.
हमने ट्राई किया था सर, नहीं होता.
मैं बड़ा हैरान था. मैं तो मजा है सबको एक बार कर दो, नीचे पैसे देकर मजे करा लेते हैं.
नहीं सर, आगे लेगा ही.
So if it doesn't take, then there is no way out except to deposit 10%, or you will have to go to High Court if the amount is very high. But High Court also has to be approached within 3 months. Now we have one section 14 of Limitation Act. The Limitation Act says if the appellant was pursuing a remedy at a wrong forum for the same relief, which for want of jurisdiction or for any other such reason is denied by that wrong forum, then the time spent in pursuing that remedy, whether in High Court or Civil Court or wherever you are doing, can be excluded for 3 months. That is आप सुशील वर्मा के पास आए, अब हमें तो रिट करनी नहीं, और रिट डालते हैं सर, नजदीक टेस्ट इनकी, कहते हैं हाँ मिस्टर वर्मा डाल दो. गवर्नमेंट ने पैसे ले लिया आपने, वो रिट में क्या थे, अपील में जाओ, तो अपील थोड़ी है ना वहाँ पर, हमने क्या करना है इसमें. That is, we filed a writ under Article 2 to 6 Constitution of India for seeking same relief, but High Court denied and relegated us back to the appellate authority. Now you have to file an appeal. Your facts shall change. You will say the order was served on this date, my appeal was to be filed by this date. However, on this particular date, I filed writ petition as per legal advice, before the Honorable High Court of Delhi. On this particular date, annex that acknowledgement, and the High Court disposed of the matter on this date. Therefore, if 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, whatever, the following period needs to be excluded under Section 14 of Limitation Act. And after excluding this, then you say that my appeal is, if this period is excluded, my appeal is within limitation period. Right? But if 3 months have passed, which cannot happen in this case, so let's say a hypothetical question, 3 months will never happen. So you will file the writ within 3 months. So even if 2 days are left, you still have 2 days time to file the appeal. In such cases,
So just in case, in 3 months on the, suppose 3 months is 90 days, and I know it is 3 months, but if it is 90 days, on 89th day I go and file, a writ in the court.
still have 1 day.
Yeah, so once it is disposed by the court in, in a negative order, right, they simply say that go to the authority, then I will only be left with 1 day only, right?
But you still have 30 days of condemnation.
No, condemnation is of course there.
But
but
1 day,
again, that is
1 day statutory limitation and the 30-day condemnation.
No, but then on condemnation again, that would be the discretion of the appellate authority.
No, obviously, condemnation discretion. But
So
beyond your domain.
technically, I only be left with
1 day. What we do, we always keep the appeal ready.
Got that.
सब वकीलों को पता होता है हाईकोर्ट में मिलना कुछ नहीं, सिर्फ पैसे बनाने के लिए, चेक लेने के लिए उसको बोलते हैं हाईकोर्ट ले जाए, कुछ नहीं होता, राइट? So that is when you file the appeal, your facts and list of date you have to master. डेट पे मार नहीं खाने, क्योंकि एक बार ही आपने टाइम बार करा दिया, it's all over for the client. Nothing, no court can give him relief. So no court has the power to extend the limitation under these circumstances, where the limitation has been, condemnation has been fixed for 1 month only. And it is only for the first appellate authority. For tribunal, there is no such limitation. Tribunal can condone any delay, 3 months or 6 months, whatever. 1 month is only for first appellate authority. Now, once you are through with this and depositing 10%, rest demand is deemed to have been stayed. You don't have to procure a stay order. Now, the stay does not operate as a stigma for section 132. अगर 132 में कोई आपका केस या प्रोसिक्यूशन का पेंडिंग है कोई ऑफेंस के लिए, उसका इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं. Those proceedings can continue, right? If they were not for demand, आपने चोरी की है, आपने forgery की है, जिसका डिमांड से कोई लेना देना नहीं, right? So few courts have held that once this happens, section 132, 69 proceedings can continue. So this is the importance of filing an appeal. You have to file appeal in the form prescribed. If space is not sufficient, say ground annex, petition annex, facts annex. Now how do you start the appeal? Right, so and so in the matter of so ABC and company versus who is the respondent, this is commissioner. Which commissioner? You have to write which authority. DGST, DGST, DGDI, DRI, whatever. You have to write the proper authority. Right? And write in the matter of so and so under section 107, first appeal against so and so order, so and so passed by so and so. That is, at this stage, you have to see whether the officer who passed the order now this is a very critical point when you start drafting appeal. Did the person who passed the order, did he possess jurisdiction to pass the order? Right? For example, एक डेलीगेशन है कि जॉइंट कमिश्नर का रिफंड है वो आपको 5 लाख का है. Supposing it disposes of an order of 10 lakh rupees, order is without jurisdiction. He cannot pass. Whether it's a jurisdiction relating territory or a pecuniary jurisdiction, jurisdiction point goes to the root of the cause. वो उस केस की जड़ी उखाड़ देता है. आपको देखना, आपको पक्का पता नहीं है, ठीक है, फिर भी देखो जो भी उसके डेलीगेशन नोटिफिकेशन है, सर्कुलर्स हैं, यू गो थ्रू देम एंड सी क्या उसको जुरिडिक्शन था इस काम को करने का, क्या उसकी जो पेक्यूनियरी लिमिट है क्या वो उसके जुरिडिक्शन में आती थी. इफ नो, मेक ए पॉइंट, टेक ए वाइट शीट विद यू, नॉट द कचरा शीट, यू आर ड्राफ्टिंग एन अपील. योर इक्विपमेंट शुड बी वेरी नीट एंड क्लीन. मैं देखता हूँ वो लोग एक रफ पेपर फाड़ के उस पर लिखना शुरू करते हैं. 100 रुपये का रिम आता है, 500 पेपर का, यू कैन अफोर्ड टू spend 20 rupees on a plain sheet, 20 paisa. Pick a plain sheet, write passage so and so, jurisdiction issue, लीव टू बनता है एग्जामिन, आपको फर्दर एग्जामिन करना. देन राइट यदि cancellation of order of my certificate PIN number so and so was posted on my portal on so and so, and I was communicated this on this particular date. Now many people write differently, but I write factual matrix. कि आपके केस के फैक्ट्स क्या हैं. अगर आपकी एपेलेट अथॉरिटी पेपर घुमाएगी तो आपके खिलाफ जाएगी. राइट, आपने लिखना है कि मैंने नंबर लिया था, तो नंबर कैंसिल हुआ है. कैंसिल को रीजन को लिखो, क्या रीजन है. नहीं है तो इधर देयर इज नो रीजन मेंशन इन द कैंसिलेशन और इन द अटैच शीट. Therefore, feeling aggrieved with this order, because you have to be aggrieved. If feeling aggrieved with this order or decision, whatever you are referring to, I am filing this appeal to seek fair play and justice. Right? Then write legal matrix. For example, cancellation act. Don't quote a full section. Write जी मेरा section 29 में the following grounds certificate registration can be cancelled. Right? This is legal matrix. If you have any supporting judgment, it can be cancelled only on these grounds. If you have one, please mention. Then write legal grounds of appeal. पहले तो ये है जी, ये जो पोर्टल पे सर्व हुआ है, ये अनसाइंड ऑर्डर है, जो भी आपके फैक्ट है उसको लिखो. That's a relevant issue, very big legal issue. Second, you say कि I have not committed any violation within the meaning of section 29. मेरी रिटर्न है, I am a functioning dealer. There is no allegation against me. There is no enforcement rate being. जो भी वो 4-5 ग्राउंड आप सारे लिखो. I do not fall under any of the grounds. Right? Therefore, this order of cancellation of RC is without authority of law. If without jurisdiction, then it is without jurisdiction also. Right? Next para is very important. In support of the above claim, I have my books of accounts. This we write is memo of evidence. You can give a heading in the center, memo of evidence, in support of ground number 3. That is, I do not fall under any of the grounds of cancellation under section 29. I have the following documentary evidence in my possession, etc., etc. And if it's a big case, attach a certificate of chartered accountant. So my sale purchase summary as per portal, as duly certified by chartered accountant, is also annexed as an extra A. Right? Then write prayer. In view of the above, it is respectfully said that number 1, if order is without jurisdiction, since the order is without jurisdiction as stated here and above, the order needs to be annulled as ab initio. Or alternatively, since I do not fall in any of the grounds of cancellation as mentioned here above, and as per documentary evidence attached, this order of cancellation be set aside and my RC be restored from the original date. Right? And then say, I shall be grateful for this and appeal must be verified. No lawyer or CA can verify the appeal. Please never do it. It's not your job. You are not a dealer. You are not a taxpayer. It has to be verified by the authorized person only. None of the employees can verify. So if it is authorized person there, portal, उसका नाम है, आप उसकी stamp लग देंगे. If it is a company, you have to index a board resolution the person to file the appeal, sign, file and present the appeal. File, sign and present the appeal, or appoint any professional to pursue this matter. The board of the association should be, first paragraph should be very specific. If it's authority given to say Rahul Kakkad, his name should be there. Or if it's a blanket authority, you can appoint anybody. So along with the power of attorney signed by you, signed by that person, there should be a board resolution authorizing that person to file the appeal. This has to be done online. Then law requires you that within 7 days you have to file 3 physical certified copies. And only when you file certified copy, they give you the acknowledgement number of appeal. Only on that date your appeal is deemed to have been filed. That is, if you delay it, यार अभी तो मैं वाराणसी जाना है, वो AFC की गर्लफ्रेंड, अब तो वहाँ जा रहे हैं, आगे कर लेंगे. अगर आके वो 3 महीने निकल गए तो तुम्हारी गाड़ी भी निकल गई. So few courts say the directory, mandatory or whatever, but filing of hard copies is mandatory. You may not file a certified copy, because you have the original coming out with the DIN number, that's more than enough. But the hard copies have to be filed, and that has to be done within 7 days from the date when you put this on the portal. Right? You don't have to bother about hearing because your demand is stayed.
आजकल ये दिल्ली से तो सर्टिफाइड कॉपी नहीं दे रहे
कोई भी नहीं दे रहा है।
तो कह रहे हैं कि साहब अब तो आपका बिल वगैरह मेंशन है तो जरूरत नहीं।
जो जज हैं बड़े बड़े एक्सेंट्रिक होते हैं। आप जब सर्टिफाइड कॉपी लिख करो उसमें डालने चिट्ठी लिखो ना, वी अप्लाइड फॉर सर्टिफाइड कॉपी, वी वर टोल्ड इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, बस
लीगली देखिए
उसका नाम लिखो। प्रिकॉशन, बिकॉज स्टेक्स आर वेरी हाई। अब जैसे रिफंड में इन्होंने बोल दिया हमारे जीएन इंटरनेशनल में 15 दिन के बाद आप डेफिनेटली मोमो दे ही नहीं सकते। भारतीय एयरटेल में बोला कि आप सेक्शन 30 यानी कि रिटर्न रिवाइज नहीं कर सकते लिमिटेशन के बाद। कोई ऐसा जज आए और आपके स्टेक्स आई तो क्या होगा आपका? एटलीस्ट यू हैव ए debatable issue that we did inform them that they are not giving certified copy. We tried with this officer and this ward number, he said it's not required as per procedure, we don't give it to anybody. So any court will think that you took this issue before them, but if you did not take this issue and now you go to higher authority कि आपने नीचे पॉइंट दिया था, it's a very technical issue, but it's a procedure established by law. That is why I debated the phrase yesterday. So what is the meaning of procedure established by law? This procedure established by law you have to follow.
एक काम और जो लेटर दिया है उसके ऊपर ऑफिसर से लिखवा रहे कि यहाँ पर तो लिख कर दीजिए कॉपी में।
Nobody will write.
वही लिख के
नहीं
देता
लिखते हैं।
अगर लिख के दे रहे फिर तो बात ही खत्म हो गई।
Get a receipt. If we have a proper receipt of that letter, that is
मेरे साथ
comply.
भी एक ने अडॉप्टमेंट हो गया था कि नहीं जरूरत है, तो मैंने कहा none of your concern, I have applied, you provide me that. It's your duty कि जो मैंने आपसे कहा है वो मुझे दो।
उसका फायदा नहीं होता है।
वो आपके खौफ से डर गया
It's
होगा।
none of your concern.
That is why I told you earlier that it's the
नहीं राहुल आप सच बोलो
legally
जरा।
he cannot refuse.
मैम आपके खौफ से इसने लिख दिया होगा।
हाँ।
नहीं लिखा नहीं था, दे दी।
मैं जाता तो मुझे कहते थे वापस जा।
नहीं
ऐसे
सर्टिफाइड
लिख
कॉपी
के नहीं वो क्या कह रहे हैं कहते तुम्हारे खौफ से भेजियो। मैं तो कर रहा हूँ सच बोलो। राहत अंदोरी का एक शेर है, झूठों ने झूठों से कहा, झूठों ने झूठों से कहा सच बोलो, झूठों ने झूठों से कहा सच बोलो, सरकारी फरमान हुआ है कि राहुल जी सच बोलो, राहुल जी सच बोलो। झूठों के घर में एक झूठों की मंडी है, दरवाजे पे लिखा है सच बोलो। बस भाई दरवाजे पे लिखा है सच बोलो। ओके, so jokes apart, there is the advantage of applying for a certified copy. Time taken by the officer in giving certified copy can also be excluded for the purpose of limitation. That is, you are not ready with the appeal, you have some problem. One day before 3 months are over, apply for certified copy. The time which it takes to give you can extend your limitation under certain circumstances, Exceptional Limitation Act. Now these sections are applicable notwithstanding whether Limitation Act has been invoked in the previous statute or not. But this is given by Constitution. Right? So this is the way you have to draft the appeal. Now, what documents you need to annex? One is the imprisoned order. If no DIN number, the order is invalid. If the authorities are not given a DIN number, immediately put them to notice your order is illegal. We are not taking any further action on this. Copy to Commissioner. All these officers are delegate of Commissioner. So wherever you have an issue of jurisdiction, mark copy to Commissioner, take a step. If you can follow with a reminder, please follow. आपको ऑर्डर देना है, जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट आपने आपकी अपील में लिखे हैं, ये सर्टिफिकेट है, मैंने सारे रिटर्न फाइल कर रखी है, टैक्स जमा कर रखा है, ये कर रखा है, वो सारी आपको लगाना है। अगर कोई परचेज सेल की समरी आती है 3B और जो भी होता है आपका, उसकी भी आपको साथ लगानी है, बिकॉज यू आर डीलिंग विद restoration of certificate registration, right? So that the authority has everything with him, what is required by him to pass the storage of certificate. this is the way you file an appeal when your RC is cancelled or any other action is taken or your registration certificate only. Now supposing you come to basics. This is another exercise which is you have to do today. I'll finally tell you how to do it. Supposing you are a dealer in grains. Gehu, tax free hai, right? You get a notice from an officer that I visited your shop. There was a huge crowd and you were selling a lot of bags of spices, dry fruits. You write any bakwas, doesn't matter, right? Therefore, in my view, you are liable for registration from this state. I told you while dealing with registration, they have the so much of power to register you without any application from you. And fixed the liability date also. In GST law, this power is available with the proper officer. Right? Therefore, you are hereby called upon to bring your books of accounts for examination, for assessment under section 61 to whatever section is there. Otherwise, I will pass abstract. Now, supposing you do not go and do not get the notice drop, he passes the order. Right? अगर चले जाते दिखा देते तो ऑर्डर पास शायद नहीं होता. ऑर्डर पास हो गया, आपकी 50 लाख की डिमांड है. अब आपको उसकी अपील करनी. This appeal is more difficult than a regular appeal. And you have to cross two hurdles. एक आपकी नेग्लिजेंस कि आपने नोटिस रिटर्न नहीं किया. दूसरा अब आपको डिमांड को खत्म करवाना है. तीसरा आपको 10% जमा करना है. तो अगर क्लाइंट ने आपको नोटिस दे दिया था, आप नहीं गए, if I am the client, I will take your license away from you without fail. I will not leave you. You deposit 5 lakh yourself, or I'll harass you because I gave it to you. You are responsible for what action you take or what action you don't take. अब आपने अपील ड्राफ्ट करनी है. Again same issue. You will write appealing agreed वगैरह वगैरह factual message. My shop or business premises, I started my business from this date. I'm an exclusive dealer in grains. I do not sell anything else. This is my history as per certificate of chartered accountant or your own affidavit annexed with the petition. I deal only with grains. मैं गेहूं बेचता हूं, मैंने और कभी कुछ नहीं बेचा. Right? Number 2, I do not fall under any exceptions in section 24, making me take registration compulsorily. Right? Since I am dealing exclusively in tax-free goods, I am not supposed to take certificate registration because I do not make any taxes. So therefore, in terms of section 22, right with 23, I am not liable for registration. Next para. The officer name so and so, designation so and so, visited my business premises on this date. Right? When he was told that we do not sell dry fruit or something, anything like this. However, as per the statement submitted by him to the authorities, he wrote that I do all this. And therefore he sent me a notice under section 61, they come for assessment. अब यहाँ आपको reason लिखना क्यों नहीं गए? For your own negligence, you cannot be given a premium by the court. Okay, आपने इतनी भारी गलती की और हम आप फायदा भी देंगे आपको उसका reason देना. This reason you have to sit down and think, what reason do we give? Why did you not appear on the date given in the notice? Now supposing you say you did not get the notice, it will not lie in your mouth. Because all are on computer. ये झूठ बोल ही नहीं सकते आप. The only झूठ you can say is that since this portal is operated by my authorized person so and so, he did not bring this to my notice in time. And I am enclosing the affidavit of this authorized person with this appeal in support of my contention that this was never brought to my notice, and he also did not take any steps to appear before you. Right? I do admit it's my fault, but I was not negligent, and therefore I could not.
जैसे आप बता रहे हैं ग्रेन का डीलर और रजिस्ट्रेशन
डिमांड निकल गई. डिमांड तो निकल गई ना.
नहीं तो मेरा पोर्टल पे कैसे मैं उसको करूँगी? पोर्टल पे
मैं तो आपको बोल रहा हूँ कि पोर्टल पे है, मुझे वैसे जो भी आपको आया है, पोर्टल इज द कॉन्सिक्वेंस. यू आर नॉट रजिस्टर्ड, यू कैन नॉट बी ऑन पोर्टल. आपको नोटिस आएगा, तो आप उसको बोलोगे भाई ये बंदा ने अपीयर नहीं हुआ, ये मेरा एम्प्लॉय था, आपको उसका एफिडेविट साफ करना. Because again you are blaming somebody without his knowledge. But once he puts his affidavit with the appeal, then he cannot say I did not sign this affidavit. Then you write what are your grounds of appeal. then you write कि I deal exclusively in this, and as legally advised, since you are not a registered dealer, you are not supposed to know the technicalities of law. As legally advised, I do not fall under any of the exceptions of section 24, and I covered by notification number AK so and so, given under section 2023, that if I'm dealing in exclusively tax-free goods, I need not take the number. I admit it's my fault I did not appear before you because I was not advised so. However, I'm annexing my audited balance sheets along with the certificate of chartered accountant and the bank statements that my dealing was only in tax-free goods. I do not deal with any other kind of goods. In view of the above, I pray that my assessment order be set aside and demand be annulled. Only annulled, not without jurisdiction. It is with jurisdiction, right? And ऊपर आपको लिखना है कि my appeal is within limitation period and have deposited mandatory deposit of 10% on the next. अब आपको 2-3 रीजन इसको देने हैं. एक तो आपको पहले उस पास को काटना है कि अफसर कहते हैं मैं ड्राई फ्रूट को डील करता हूँ. आप बोलोगे जब आया था हमने उसको बोला था हम इसमें डील नहीं करते. Since he did not give me a copy of the statement, I don't know what he wrote. Second, आप जब नोटिस आया आपको, जैसे भी आया आपने नोटिस पे क्यों नहीं अपीयर हुए? Then you can say notice are not received by me, received by my authorized person. Unfortunately, he did not show it to me. So this was happened. I cannot be blamed for this. I mean, you can't say I cannot be blamed, but you have to write something. Why did you not appear? As soon as I came to know, I questioned that person. Why have you not gone? But in the meantime, Your Honor the proper officer had passed the assessment, therefore forcing me to come and disappear. Now these kind of appeals are more difficult to sustain rather than 73, 74 appeals. उसमें कोई ये technical issues नहीं आते. आपने चोरी की है या नहीं की है उसका बयान same issue ये. Right? Let us say one more supply. We'll touch this today. Section 7(a). Supposing he says कि जो आपने माल बेचा है, I have examined your books of accounts on scrutiny of returns. These are mixed supplies, not composite supplies. Right? Therefore, the 4 supplies made by you in single order against a single consideration are independent supplies who are not natural, which are not naturally bundled. Therefore, the rate should have been 28%, not 5%. Therefore, I enhance your demand to this because you claimed a composite supply, but under the effects of circumstances of which my view is covered by section 8, not by section 7. Therefore, I invoke increase your tax demand and please pay. Now these are all again pure legal issues. Again you have to file an appeal, 10% को जमा करना है. Same in initial things. अब factual matrix में आपको facts बड़े ध्यान से लें. तो यहाँ जो सारा केस facts के ऊपर है. He has to appreciate the factual transaction done by you. And then you have to prove whether these were naturally bundled or these would not happen without the help of each other, or could they be supplied in several examples. I am a seller of UPS, right? I also sell storage batteries to run the UPS. Ilagar comes to me and says, Mr. Verma, I need this UPS and battery. I say, okay, UPS and battery available. Obviously, the UPS cannot run without battery, right? So I claim these are the composite supplies and pay tax on, since UPS was a principal, so I therefore pay tax what was applicable to UPS at 12%. It goes to Rahul Kakkar, who knows more than us. He says nobody, 28%. You pay 12%. And say this is not a composite supply, it's a mixed supply, you pay 28%. That difference can make. So supposing you have done a sale of 1 crore, 16% का चपत लगा, with interest 18% and penalty, it's a huge thing.
Which cannot be even recovered from anyone.
Nobody can recover. So recovery can happen depending on the contract, but nobody can recover. Now the issue comes, how do you go for this? So until you were very clear what is a composite supply or a mixed supply, you can never draft this appeal. Your client will die. क्योंकि आपको पता ही नहीं है क्या चीज है. The basic difference between the two is that composite supply, all the package is naturally bundled. Remember that Gunjan's Pashmina shawl and suit, very famous phrase in the class. 10 lakh का सूट और 6,000 रुपए का सूट, shawl और 6 lakh रुपए का सूट, which is a composite supply. Now can we say the UPS battery example, can we say this is a composite supply? Answer is no. UPS can be sold independently, battery can be sold independently. But supposing I change the fact and put a battery in UPS,
Then it is a composite.
that is a composite. So the difference is very thin. So unless you know what is this, supposing Rahul is a corporate advisor. He says, I will give accounting, financial, banking reconciliation, debtor management, creditor management, insurance management, all the facilities. Who's doing this? Rahul Kakkar? Can we say this is a composite supply? Answer is no. But then it play no connection with each other. It can be done independently. So if in a given set of circumstances, if a supply can be made independently of various products, then it's a mixed supply. That is the illustration given by the statute under section 7 and 8 below what is composite supply. For example, goods are transported with insurance. Now supposing you don't transport, has insurance any relevance? The answer is no. So the example is, you must have goods, transport them and take insurance. If goods is 5%, others are 18%, the whole transaction tax is 5%. Because what was the principle of supply? All are collateral supply in order to effect supply of goods. Right? Now supposing आप कहते हैं जी इसकी पैकिंग अलग से भेजना, you are in trouble. तो ये आपको ध्यान रखना है कि जब इस तरह के आप ट्रांजैक्शन करेंगे, आपका क्लाइंट आपसे पूछने आए आपको ओपिनियन देनी है, तो उसको पहले आपको फैक्ट्स पूछने लिए आप ये काम कैसे करेंगे. Don't open your mouth. What we do, we lawyers do, is you send us opinion note for opinion. कि पूरे डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ आप क्या क्या करते हैं, उसके बाद हम बोलेंगे हम कितने पैसे लेंगे और आप क्या कर सकते हैं. फोन पे नहीं, मेरे से कोई क्लाइंट फोन पे बात करेगा, बिल भेजेंगे. वी डोंट टॉक ऑन फोन पे एनीबॉडी. आपको सारे फैक्ट्स लेने हैं. से फॉर एग्जांपल, यू गो टू आकाश कोचिंग सेंटर. वो कहते हैं जी आपको 10,000 रुपये महीना लेंगे विथ बोर्डिंग एंड लॉजिंग, एंड देन वी विल टीच यू. दिस इज कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल क्लॉज. कैन वी से दिस इज कंपोजिट सप्लाई? Answer is yes. Because the principle supply was education. If this contractual clause was not there, then you were right, then it's not a composite supply. So even one line of factual differences shall change your opinion completely. Therefore, when you come to supply issue, you have to master those 3 schedules. Say for example, I give you another example. If you are a contractor and the proper officer writes to you, say Mr. So and so, I have gathered information you made Mr. Verma's house in Greater Noida, but you did not pay tax. Therefore, I propose to fix a tax liability upon you, and you are liable for registration. Please come and explain. Now there is an assumption. If a contractor does only pure labor services without use of material, there is no GST liability. If he is making a single residential unit, not apartments. The notification gives you exemption if a contractor is giving his pure labor services for constructing a single residential house, including Mukesh Ambani's Antila. That is a single residential unit. There is no GST liability. So unless you know this, you cannot answer this. It's as simple as this. And if you have a habit of pooch ka practice karna, that's a suicide for you also, for your client also. And if client is like me, I'll kill you also. मैं छोड़ूंगा नहीं आपको. Because a client comes and depends upon you, you are a system. So whatever you tell him, he does it. He thinks you are the God. अगर God को खुद नहीं पता कि मुझसे मैदा को किया है, तो रोएगा ना खुद भी. Therefore, you have to answer whenever notice comes. Yes, I've done work for this market. So for the residence unit, it's a pure labor service. I have not used any goods. Now how do you prove it? You have to take a certificate from the landowner. All material was supplied by me. He did not use any material whatsoever. Therefore, it's a pure labor. This can never be a works contract service. Works contract service presupposes a composite transaction. So since he's doing a pure labor transaction, therefore the notification exempts these kind of services. Now supposing you get one more notice like this, कि जी आपने वो गवर्नमेंट के लिए 50 फ्लैट बनाया, टैक्स नहीं दिया उसका, टैक्स बंद है, ठीक है, एग्जम्पशन भी है। प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना पता नहीं कौन कौन सी मोदी साहब ने अपनी योजना बनाई हुई है। यू हैव टू से आस्क हिम भी आपने कहाँ बनाया था फ्लैट, तो कहते जी वो प्रधानमंत्री योजना का एक टेंडर आया था, उसको बनाए। That itself is not enough for exemption. You have to still say that 60 meter or whatever the limitation of land is there. And how do you prove this? You have to attach the map along with this appeal. कि ये टेंडर की रिक्वायरमेंट थी और ये हमने चीज बनाई है और इसी चीज के हमें पैसे मिलेंगे. You simply write कि we were covered by so, this is no meaning. Because whatever claim you make, indirect taxation is a document driven law. Law is 10%, only 10%. 90% आपके डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं. लॉ तो हमारे जजों को आता है ना हमारे को आता है. जब भी पहले आपको डॉक्यूमेंट देखते हैं, आपका डॉक्यूमेंट्स क्या है. So before you file an appeal, appellate authority or the tribunal, you have to master your documents. As for documents क्या है. Now supposing you come to know that this notification is not applicable, he did not make the flat as per the area prescribed for this particular scheme of the central government, then he is not eligible. Now you have to have a second strategy how you handle it. He cannot get input tax credit, the answer is out because it's cross September period. He cannot go for composition, did not make composition application before the start of year. He has to pay tax. You have to concede. There is no case your client has. But supposing you put him on a right path, a wrong path. अरे हमने वर्मा जी को कर लिया, अब तो हो जाएगा सारा काम. Then they can invoke section 74 and put 28. That is conviction, 4C. Concede, set it right, otherwise face conviction if you did not do this. So never give any hope which is not backed by law, whatever you have read. And if you need a second opinion, never hesitate. Many times I ask Nitika Khanna, I'm sure law I know more than her. But जो procedure तो मुझे तो कुछ भी नहीं आता. हमारे के बारे में सब इससे पूछते हैं, ये TTS कैसे जमा होगा? So she is master in this, and that is the backbone of indirect taxation. She does 100 cases, we do 2 cases. So she does 98 more cases than us. Ila Garg does more work than us. और ये लोग मास्टर हैं इन चीजों के. रेखा भी अभी इतनी शार्पली बोला, सर उसको पोर्टल पे कैसे आएगा? And that is the understanding people should have. Thank you so much. Supposing you are confronted with another case. You are confronted with 1750 works contract case. वो कहता है जी क्योंकि आपने वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया है, आपको इनपुट टैक्स नहीं मिलेगा. आपने बिल्डिंग बनाई है या अपना ऑफिस बनाया है, और you are the owner of the building, you will not get input tax credit. That is not enough. So there are exceptions to it. Plant and machinery. Exceptions है, section 17 नीचे exceptions है. आपको पहले देखना है कि आपके क्लाइंट के फैक्ट्स क्या हैं. हो सकता है वो एक्सेप्शन से कवर हो, the officer may not know. So before you jump to conclusion, ask him कि तुम्हारे केस के फैक्ट्स क्या हैं, आपने क्या किया था. Right? Now supposing he says कि मैंने तो ये एयरपोर्ट पे हैंगर कसे थे पाइप लगाकर. आरसीसी का काम किया था, उसमें नहीं सर. बड़े बोर्ड थे, हमने छेद किया, उसको कर दिया, छोटा सा उनको केबिन चाहिए था, मुझे ये बनाया. This is not a works contract. Works contract must result into property which is removable. And when is it immovable? If it cannot be removed without damaging the same, without destroying that property. नटबोल तो कभी भी खोल लो, आप ले जाओ अपने घर में जाओ. अभी मेरे पास एक लेटेस्ट है, कल परसों आया है. Somebody is making RM gazebos for a hotel. resort, 100 gazebos. अब उसके भी ओपिनियन नोट है, स्मार्ट आदमी है, क्योंकि उसको पता है मेरे को इनपुट टैक्स नहीं मिला, कहता सर कैसे बनवाएं, जैसे इनपुट मिल जाए, हमारा इमूवेबल ना है, उसको पता है सारा, चालू आदमी बिल्डर, हमने इसको बोला कि आरएम के बनाओ, फोल्डेबल बनवा लो, जहां मर्जी उठा के ले जाओ, जहां मर्जी लगा दो। Now, the simple answer I'll give in 4-5 pages, not in 1 line, स्पेशलिस्ट है, प्रोफेशनल हो, लेकिन अगर ये आपको नहीं पता, आपको बोला होटल में नहीं मिलता, हो गया काम। If you are doing this for the purpose of your business, you are entitled. जैसे अभी कई लोग बोलते हैं रेस्टोरेंट को इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता, I don't agree with it. So the on this various issues come to 2-3 chapters. You have to be careful. Supposing you come to another cross कि आपने व्हीकल खरीदे हैं, व्हीकल का तो इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ब्लॉक है, आपके पता ब्लॉक है, but there are 2 exceptions. तो आपको पहले देखना है क्या क्या क्लाइंट आपका एक्सेप्शन में कवर होता है, नहीं होता तो ब्लॉक है, नथिंग यू कैन डू।
मुझे तो कवर कराओ,
हैं?
मुझे तो कवर करवाओ।
नहीं, that's not our job. And that is not advice I will ever give in any forum. I'm not Bimal Jain, sorry. I'm Sushil Verma. I don't do this kind of practice. आ रहे हैं, क्लासिफिकेशन में आते हैं, आगे सुनते रहो। So therefore, if there is an alternative which is permitted by law, now he is coming post facto, वो इवेंट हो चुका है, उसको टैक्स लग गया है, उसको आप चेंज कर ही नहीं सकते, पॉसिबल ही नहीं। यू कैन नॉट से कि जब जो मेरी बस थी वो सिर्फ 20 बंदों वाली थी, 13 बंदों कम नहीं थी, वो फैक्ट उसके पास है ना सारे, यू विल चेंज फैक्ट। यू कैन से नहीं सर ये बस से तो मैं तो सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर था, मैं तो आगे लीज पे करता था, ला डॉक्यूमेंट। तो ये झूठ बोलने का कोई फायदा नहीं, यू विल ऑल कॉम्प्लिकेट, एंड इफ यू आर गिविंग ए फॉल्स एविडेंस अंडर सेक्शन 70 यू कैन बी कॉल्ड फेस 7 years imprisonment। तो हमारे तो खुद की असर हुआ कि एक तो टैक्स ने झूठ भी बोल रहा है, फोर्जरी कर रहा है, तो मैं लाइन में लगा देगा। नो कोर्ट विल गिव यू रिलीफ। नाउ yesterday we were discussing article 14 classification. Article 14 of Constitution of India presupposes all men before the law shall be equal. अगर राहुल जी ने 5% टैक्स देना है, मिस वर्मा ने भी 5% टैक्स देना, but Supreme Court has held, you have a judgment in this PPT, this classification is not absolute. It can change, provided the authorities can justify the change in classification. Why was it there? For example, the custom duty. You have a safeguard duty, you have an anti-dumping duty. They are still custom duties, they are still under section 3 and 12. But there are different kind of duties that are levied. But Supreme Court has held in series of judgment, they are justified. See, if there is a classification issue you face, if that particular product Siddharth is defined, then you have no issue of classification. Supposing you are dealing with a jeweler's case, custom उसका अलग मतलब, लेकिन आपके एक्ट में उसका मतलब कुछ और लिखा गया है, there is no classification issue. But if this particular product where you are disputing the classification is not defined in the CGST Act, then moral law lies settled, a beneficial entry you can favor. No, it is not a garment accessory. It can never be. Accessory is what? Accessory that enhances the usefulness of a given product. That is the meaning of accessory. I don't think cufflinks enhances the value of a shirt. It only shows you are fashionable, you have money to buy cufflinks. मैंने बहुत सारे बड़े वेस्ट किए हैं, वेस्ट किया था, मुझे लगता है वेस्ट किया, हाफ बाजू की शर्ट अच्छी रहती है। I beg to differ. Again, supposing this is an issue. Now this is not issue of classification. This is an issue whether this is a part of ready-made garment, accessory ready garment or not. It's not an issue of classification at all. Not a jewelry. Can I say this is jewelry? It's a gold pen. But I had given opinion, this is piece of jewelry, will pay 3%, not 24%. We will litigate it. So you have to first know whether this was issue was a classification or a wrong placement of a product. Imitation jewelry is not defined. So what is the common parlance? कभी आपने खरीदे हैं ये कपलिंग इमिटेशन ज्वेलरी के रूप में? Common parlance is if a man who doesn't know anything, if you go into a shop, ask for it. That is common parlance. ज्वेलरी वही होगी, लड़कियों की अंगूठियां, आदमियों की अंगूठियां, कड़े, वो सोने के गोल्ड के सेट, वो दिखाती है 15 लाख का, होता है 5,000 रुपए का. So imitation jewelry is one. I don't think this is a case of imitation jewelry, my opinion. So that way, when you come to first or two chapters, up to section 24, 25, you will have these kind of appeals coming in, and these are the majority of appeals you will have on these issues. So you have to master the supply issue, works contract, right to use. Now supposing I give you one more example. You are a Haldiram franchisee. No, sorry, Bikaner franchisee. Haldiram doesn't have franchisee. And you get a notice कि Bikaner gets a notice कि आपने इतना कमीशन इनसे लिया है. Who discharged the GST liability? Because if Ila Garg was a franchisee, she was using the Bikaner wala board with the permission of Bikaner wala. If there is a contract, no contract, then it's a infringement. She doesn't have to pay anything. Now you have to come out whether this was covered by an exception to any schedule. If not, then this is a right to use transaction. It's covered by definition of supply. So first, before you come to a conclusion if there is a liability, you have to first rule out whether there is an exception to this liability. Like in the finance we call zero budgeting. You go on zero budgeting and say, no, there is no tax. इसमें टैक्स लगता ही नहीं है. So tell your junior or you are doing yourself, make a research on this, whether there could be any tax liability on this. तो जो कुछ वो आपके जूनियर आप जो भी सोच सकते हैं, आप उसको सोचिए. I give you one example. That May, there was an entry called medicinal herb. I did this case on all India basis, and I did more than 70-80 cases all over the country. There was a Katha Sapphire, अलग से entry, still going on in trouble. So one very big company came to me, Mr. Verma, there is enough material that this Katha, Katashu or Supari, betel nut are also used in medicines. पान खाने के बड़े फायदे होते हैं, सभी लोग पान खाते हैं. तो पैसे में दे दिए, चुपचाप चले गए, हम भी चुप हो गए. अचानक मेरे को कुछ पढ़ रहा था एक दिन, मुझे लगा कि नहीं यार ये तो बात बनती है. And just struck me. So I sent them an email.
DS Group.
Eh?
Your client DS Group.
Yes. No, it was started with Karnataka company. Then came to DAs and other.
You shared this
Yeah.
in the initial start.
तो हमने उसको ओपिनियन पहुंचा कि नहीं we have a case. जो नीचे टैक्स लगाया था उन्होंने हम उसको चैलेंज किया. If this tax is wrong, we have deposited that tax. We challenged. If we deposited the wrong tax, we won it all over the country. If we prove this is a medicinal herb. Because this Katha Supari was not defined. Katha Supari is itself a generic term. We say now there are two entries. One entry which is beneficial to the taxpayer should be adopted. Right? This is only regarding entry interpretation. But if you are dealing with a notification, then this law is not applicable. Notification now, entry relevant to revenue is adopted, not beneficial to the assessee. For a notification. Sunrise Textile, yet a Supreme Court judgment on this issue. So now when you are seized with two issues, first you may be called upon to give opinion. Which work you should do more rather than appeals. I prefer opinions rather than appeals. Appeals in this country is a torture. तो जिन लोगों से आपने बात करना उनको कुछ नहीं आता. उन्होंने कभी जीएसटी की किताब खोली भी नहीं होगी आज तक. सोतुगमी मिश्रा क्या नाम उसका? सोमकेतु मिश्रा. आई एम श्योर उसने कभी जिंदगी में सेक्शन 2 की पढ़ाई नहीं की। उसको बोला आया था कि आपने कभी किताब खोली भी नहीं सर, रिड्यूस फैक्ट्री ऑफ विवेक अग्रवाल। अगर वो सेक्शन 2 मुझे पढ़ भी देता है तो मैं उसको 10 लाख रुपये देता, इंग्लिश में पढ़ के दिखा देता। आपको इन लोगों से डील करना है। सो फर्स्ट नो हाउ टू ड्राफ्ट एन ओपिनियन एज ए लिटिगेंट लॉयर। फर्स्ट स्टेप इज योर क्लाइंट कम्स, आस्क हिम टू सेंड ए नोट फॉर ओपिनियन, कि आपको हमारे से किस चीज के लिए ओपिनियन चाहिए। Then decide your professional fee per question कितने पैसे आपको लेने। Once that comes, don't jump. Call him after 3-4 days. Examine that note, इसका मतलब क्या है, नोटिफिकेशन क्या कहता है, आपकी एंट्री क्या कहती है, कोई केस लॉ वो क्या कहता है। Then form your prima facie opinion कि this could mean this, this could mean this. Then call the client. Yes, we have examined it. This is the likely scenario. Show us your documents. Supposing you are saying it's covered by HSN 8500, वो खुद एडमिट कर रहे हैं 9000, वो एडमिट कर रहे हैं अपने बिलों में। तो आपको दो चीज करनी है, एक तो उसको रिक्लासिफाई करना है कि आपका क्लासिफिकेशन गलत है क्योंकि टैक्स रेट अब ज्यादा लगेगा आपको। सेकेंडली यू हैव टू गिव एन ओपिनियन। नाउ रिमेंबर yours is only an opinion. So how do you write? So and so company or so and so partnership, so and so person. Subject opinion, your opinion not dated so and so. Never write subject on opinion. Now this is shared with people. So unless they have an opinion note, they don't know what questions are asked. हम नहीं लिखते. Then write, you have given us opinion note that in our opinion the sentinel issues are following. Number 2, we examine this legally. This case is covered by notification number so and so, rate notification, जो भी आपके notification है so and so, and entry number so and so. However, we have been able to lay our hands on the following judgments that favor you rather than these entries, and they are in the GST law only. They are not in other GST law. But if they are in a comparable law like customs, अगर custom की same entry है, जो same entry आपकी है, even though the custom taxable is different, but you can take advantage of that particular ruling because your law also adopts HSN. Since custom and excise were based on HSN, if a particular entry has been examined and tested by courts in those laws, you can conveniently adopt that interpretation for GST law also. But अगर वहाँ HSN नहीं था, या आपकी एंट्री उनसे कुछ अलग है, या आपने सारा HSN अडॉप्ट नहीं किया जैसे हमारे नहीं किया, अगर एक HSN में 100 सब हेडिंग्स हैं और आपके लॉ ने 10 ही अडॉप्ट किए हैं, then you must fall within those 10, not within the next 90. And then write whatever your opinion is, then give a conclusion कि आप क्या मतलब है। नीति उसको आपको जरूर लिखना है, this is only our opinion, you have all the right to take a second opinion, you are not writing a judgment, you are giving an opinion. So चाहिए गलत फॉलो है
सर, आप HSN कोड बता रहे थे कोई साइट,
अगली बार
तो आप केवल एक वेबसाइट का नाम बता रहे थे ना पीछे?
वर्ल्ड कस्टम हाउस ब्रसल्स। निकाल दे 1000 पेज की, आज प्रिंट ले ले, उसका सारी पढ़ना शुरू कर दे उसको।
तो एक आध में प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है सर, कई बार ना छोटी सी चीज़ को देखने के लिए बहुत घूमना पड़ जाता है।
उसमें इजी भी है, उसको गूगल, you can write Google and write the what is the name of your product and give a dash say HSN classification, you will get the answer. फिर उसको लेके फिर अपना HSN खोलो, फिर उसको खोलो। चलो जी चाय पिए।